I'm finishing Santa 2022. Hopefully he's going to be done this weekend.
I was cleaning out my office yesterday, which was long overdue, let me tell you. Long overdue.
I didn't see her for days.
And I came across this, which is an American thread. No, Aunt Lydia's. I knew I saw it.
It's Aunt Lydia's.
It's
yeah.
Oh, it said use.
Oh, rotate your phone. Sorry.
Yeah, use Aunt Lydia's heavy rug yarn. No, American Thread Company. I meant to look it up. I've heard of it before. I don't think they're still in business, but I'm not sure. But somebody said it looks like a paint by number, and it does. I'm sure many of you have these or have seen them. This corresponds to the colors that they want you to use for the rug yarn.
Well, that'll never happen.
So you would use...
But you said already you started this and you don't like it.
No, I do like it. I just wish I had used a different color. Okay. Because I find that, and here's another discussion, as you get older, your colors change. When I first was married, do you remember everything was Victorian and I loved pinks and faded colors and like pink, not primitive at all.
Yeah.
That didn't last long. Then I went into the primitive, which I've been most of my life, probably from, I'm not super primitive, I'm more semi-primitive. Yeah. But I like the darker colors, the bolder colors, the chunkier shapes, the designs and things like that. As you get older, though, and I think I'm there. I turned 55 on Monday, and I feel like I just want to get rid of everything. I don't want a lot of clutter and crap, and I don't want bright in my house, but I just want clean colors, neatness, tidiness. So back to here, I find my colors are going to creams, tans, browns, and blues.
Someone says this reminds them of the first wallpaper thing you showed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so I also, even though I find that I lean toward primitive, I love crewel embroidery work. I've talked about this before. I kind of feel like this resembles a crewel embroidery design. So what I'm going to do is I did this with my punch needle.
Yeah.
And I'll show you how to do this in a minute. But I'm going to stay with the red because I envision this as being very bold colors. Where will I put it, though? Where am I going to put it?
You could put it in your new dining room.
I could put it in your room because you have the darker, brighter colors.
You could put it in your dining room on the
Darker,
wall.
brighter.
Darker, brighter.
Bolder.
No, I need to kind of revamp my room, but that's another story.
So we'll show you how to punch it in a minute, but I wanted to take a walk over to the Valdani rack, and we'll show you the back and what we're going to do.
Okay. I bet my dog is going to come with me.
My dog didn't come to work today.
But her dog, every day when I come home, comes right out and greets me so nice. Not because he loves me, only because that's when they get a treat when I come home.
I'm going to put this over this section because this section will never be used in any of my projects.
Can we see that section before
This is
you do
the
it?
solids,
Yeah.
and they're bright.
Okay.
So, as I put this here, and this kind of goes along with the penny theme.
How many
because we've got
colors
right
are you
here.
seeing there?
I'm saying five colors, and they're going to be the primaries. They're going to be red, gold, blue, green, 2 greens.
Yellow.
Red,
Gold.
gold, green, 2 greens, and blue.
Okay.
So I've got my red, which is my P1,
I'm coming over to the other side.
and I'm thinking on the other side of the P1 that I'm going to put,
So this is basically a rug hooking pattern. by
this is
Aunt
going to be
Lydia's,
gold.
But you're doing it punch needle, the whole thing.
This is 100% cotton, and when I started this yesterday, because I wanted to talk about this in the video, I was unsure if my punch needle was going to work with this method, but it did. This is bunka embroidery. I've shown it before. It's delicate until we get it fastened on the back, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay, I have to ask a question. Are you going to do all this background?
No.
Okay.
That's why it's going to resemble crewel embroidery.
Okay.
So I'm just doing these motifs.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to do these, this,
Yeah.
this, and then the leaves.
Okay.
This I did in about 10 minutes. So using your punch needle to stitch goes very quickly.
Okay.
I'll just add this to my pile of projects that I start on every Wednesday video. So we've got red and gold, and then we need to choose 2 greens. The peas are always my go-to section. We're going to choose a green. This is going to be for down here.
Yeah.
They've got 2 colors here, so I think we'll do this green here, and then we're going to do what do you think of that?
I like that.
We could do that, or we could do, no,
That is a cool idea, isn't it, Lori? Leave the background unstitched.
yeah, unstitched, but maybe grunged.
Oh.
A little grunge. A little grunge will do ya. So I've gone with JP9 as opposed to 0579 because there's just not enough contrast.
Okay.
But see, we have a light and a dark green.
Yep.
Now I need to choose a blue. Stay.
Okay.
Because all we have really, we have our red and gold right here.
Yeah.
We're probably going to do blue in the pennies. And I might stagger them.
So
A blue and a red with all gold centers, or I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay, so a little confusing here for me because I'm not a puncher. So everything you're going to do, you're going to do bunker. Even the
Yep.
this around here, you're going to do bunker. Okay.
I
Not
do
a
the
bunker
same
person.
thing at the Valdani rack that I do at the wool rack. I start with my core colors, and then I'm going to group them. Going to see if I like that one better, or this one better.
I like the first one better.
This almost looks a little black from back here. The lighting's bad though. We've got to get some lights over the Valdani rack.
I like that better.
What about, I feel like I'm at the eye doctor. This one or this one? This one or this one?
I like that last one you just put up because I think it.
I'm not feeling it. I think it's
I
this
like
one.
That medium one. Which those to me are very dark colors for you.
They are. Those are my
Yeah.
colors though.
Yeah.
Except for this one. But I have to have that because I've got the 2
Right.
greens right here.
Yes,
So
you
this
do.
is going to give me a very cruel look.
A cool, cruel.
A cool cruel.
Okay.
So let's go over to the punch table.
Molly, back over to the punch table. Your mustache looks like you've been a little straight
Napping?
this morning. What is that mustache, huh? What is that? I'm looking at you and staring at you. I know. You were something else. Okay, I'm headed over to the table. You're headed over to the table. Julie has been cleaning stuff. I've been very impressed with her. I feel this from Georgia. I'm waiting for Julie to come down here. I can't believe I got here before she did. Because she took a sip of coffee, that's why. Okay. Let's see you do this.
So I'm using my rug hooking frame
Okay.
because now the one thing I will keep you posted about, I'm a little nervous about, is the stitches underneath. Because to do this technique of bunka embroidery, you have to have a large loop underneath. The large,
Can you see it?
you can see it. I've shown you before. It looks like a hot mess because basically I'm setting my needle at number 6.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along and I'm going to run a bead of glue right along the inside of those loops, and then I'm going to press them over because I want to stabilize them. I want them stabilized down. I may have to move to an embroidery hoop as I get further along because I'm not going to want to put these loops over my gripper strips.
Well, can I ask you, when you're all done that, are you going to back it
Yeah,
with a piece of cloth? Not wool, cloth.
something.
Okay.
This is an idea. This is a work in progress. I have no idea. But to be honest with you, what I could do after I'm done stitching this section, and I'm not going to pull it super tight because I don't want my stitches to collapse when I take it off. Even though when I do go to frame this or mount it eventually, it's probably going to be mounted on some sort of board or not canvas, mounting board. So it's not super tight.
Okay.
The reason I'm using my rug hooking frame is because I need to have my hand underneath. When
Because you're holding
I'm holding my loops.
your loops. Okay.
If you're doing this stitch with small stitches, like when I started right here,
Yeah.
until I get up here, it's pretty good. You don't really have to hold the loops. But once you get up here, you're going way more than a half an inch. So you have to hold your finger under there to hold the loops.
Okay. So, and the reason you're holding your finger underneath is so that these
They don't
will
pull
stay
out.
the way.
Right.
Okay. And
There's this very old videos of bunka embroidery from the 80s, I think, on YouTube.
well, there's a fellow in Len DeGraff, is his name, in Canada.
Is he doing bunka?
He does bunka. Yeah.
Does he have videos on?
He shows his work when it's done.
Just going to stick this right where I know where it is.
Yeah.
I've got a good bra for my Valdani today. When you're doing bunka embroidery, you don't want any tension on your thread. So you're going to want to use, I'm using my medium tip and one strand of number 8 pearl cotton Valdani pearl cotton. You don't have to use Valdani. You can use any thin thread. You're not going to want to use 6 strands of DMC because that's not going to work. You're not going to want to use your large tip because that's not going to work. I worried, so thin that sometimes the threader doesn't hold it. I worried that the weave of the fabric was too loose to hold the stitches. That's why I tried this yesterday. Weaver's cloth is more tightly woven, so this is a great cloth for this technique.
Yeah.
It holds them in very nicely. Sometimes I don't even have to hold my finger underneath to hold those loops in place. So, again, a single strand of number 8 Valdani. Is anybody there with us?
I think so.
Okay.
Nobody's talking, so.
Nobody's talking?
Nobody's talking.
That's all right. So,
That's probably because I can't get a word in edgewise with the two of us.
red gold, red gold, red gold, red gold.
Where I cut my
Red
stand
gold,
down from
red
3
gold,
to be
red
good
gold,
height
red gold.
For my 4'11" frame. That's a good thing.
Yep, either cut the stand down, I mean, if you're handy, or use a taller chair.
Okay.
Bear with me. I'm going to start, and then underneath my hand, I'm grabbing the thread,
Yeah.
and I'm pulling it down. And then I'm coming over here. I think my fabric might be a little bit too loose.
Lori says we're not talking because we're watching. Does it feel very different to you punching on that than it does weaver's cloth? 'Cause
Yes.
I'm not hearing the loud punching noise.
It's a looser fabric, and to be honest with you, if I feel like this isn't going to work and my stitches come out, I might transfer this design to weaver's cloth
Oh.
and then do it on weaver's cloth. But the thing is, this is such a nicer fabric if I'm not doing the background.
Yeah.
The other thing I could do is I could put weaver's cloth on the back of this and baste it on and then stitch through both layers.
Yeah.
If I'm stitching through the more tightly woven weaver's cloth, it's really going to hold those loops in place.
Okay.
Now
What
I
is-
keep, if you notice, I keep pulling my thread out of my chest and up on my shoulder. I'm keeping my thread very loose because as I'm doing this, can you see my fingers here?
Not to be rude.
You're
but-
very close.
No, but not to be rude. I'm glad you're pulling it out of your chest because there are people that could say you could pull it out of a different place. But go ahead with that. Sorry.
I want to say it, but I'm not going to.
Nope.
Underneath, if you can see my fingers, can you see them?
Someone asked what this fabric is called.
This, I don't know, but it just
It's
says 100%
Aunt
cotton.
Lydia's old 100% cotton. I'm pulling this. I'm going to try to see if I can see you underneath here. Can I?
I'm actually grabbing my needle. Can you see
Yeah,
it? And
I
I'm
do.
holding that loop.
Yeah.
And I'm coming down here. Then I'm coming over here.
Yep.
And I'm holding it, and I'm going back, and I'm just holding the loops.
God, if I keep filming this, good Disney may want me.
Francis Ford Coppola's going to call you, Mom?
Yeah, gonna call me.
Yeah. I can feel tension in my thread as I'm pulling, and I do want to be mindful of that. If I feel any tension, it probably means that I'm getting to the end of the section of loose thread that I have pulled out of my...
Okay, so this is underneath. So this is what you're doing on top. So as you're doing this on top, your hand underneath is working with you.
Yeah, I mean, don't move your fingers from the loop you're holding until you have poked down, because you don't want to stab yourself.
Now you're punching a lot slower than you usually do. Is that because of the video, or is that because of the fabric and the thought that you're working different?
It's because it's unfamiliar to me. I'm not really too used to this technique. And it's because of the looseness of the fabric. I'm really taking my time.
I'm sure Aunt Lydia's rug wool was used. My dad hooked a rug one time for
I bet you could find Aunt Lydia's on eBay.
Aunt Lydia's, and I'm going to say it was right after World War II. We were probably in 1948, 1949, and it was an American Eagle. And I always remember this because he had it on a huge frame, tacked down, and he put it
I
up in
have
the
an
attic.
American Eagle at home, an Aunt Lydia's
Yeah.
pattern.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the same one.
It probably was, but he threw his in the rubbish when they moved. Yeah.
Well, and my thought with that was to hook it and just transfer it to monk's cloth, because I like monk's cloth better. I'm sure that you sometimes see Aunt Lydia's patterns at yard sales, or, everybody had them at one time or another.
I know
So
you're
you can
asking some
see,
questions, and I'm going to have Julie answer them after.
you can see that as I'm coming down, I feel like that's so close.
I have to get a drink of water.
You can see that as I'm getting down here, it's getting closer. That's fine. My stitches are just getting closer. This is very satisfying. And it's so pretty with that variegated thread from Valdani. The key to this is going to be securing those loops from the back. We don't want those loops to pull out. So I think once I get this medallion done right here, and remember, you know what? I am going to have to punch this because those numbers will show up.
Not if you, what if you,
You know what I could do?
you could roll my crystal, it's so
No,
dark.
they're not going to come out. Unless it's disappearing ink, but I don't think it is because it was meant to be done over. I could turn this over and punch this,
Yes, you could.
but that's a hell of a lot of punching over here.
Well,
Or,
maybe.
or I could just do a little penny right here in between these
I was gonna
motifs
say, or maybe
to
a
cover
little-
that, and then leave the rest of the space open.
Well, this is a conundrum now.
What?
This is a conundrum. What do you do?
No, I think that's what I'm
Someone
going to
said
do.
That's true. This is like a satin stitch.
It is.
On
It's-
the top, but not on the
It's
bottom.
a satin stitch with your punch needle.
Right.
And, if you punch, this is fun. It really is. I really enjoy this. I am a little worried about this loosely woven fabric, but now I've done 3 sections and I haven't had any stitches pull out.
Sorry, Mom's got a little.
Do you need
allergy
another
attack.
drink?
I got a little allergy attack going on.
Mom's hacking up along. So, yep, I've just answered the question of what I'm going to do right here. The other thing I could do is I could bring like a green petal or another motif right here. And if I had a Sharpie, I could show you what I'm talking about. But I could bring another motif out here, another leaf, maybe, and do it in blue. Then I'll have my red, green, and blue, or green, a leaf, to cover that. So that makes it so I don't have to do this entire area. For this area right here, maybe I'll just bring a little something here just to cover that. I mean, you know what? We can make it look good. I don't want to punch this whole thing. There won't be any wrinkles when I'm done because we're going to stretch this on a mounting board.
Do you want to show me?
I don't want to do it yet.
But what do you think?
But
you're going
I'm
to do?
thinking of doing like a leaf right here
Okay.
to cover that. But then I'd have to do something here and here. and then maybe to make it, and then maybe here and
Maybe you
here.
could bring a third row around. that
Or
would
I
cover
could
that.
just draw like a solid line here and do it on all of them so they match. You know, I'm going to do what I have to do to hide those numbers. Right here, maybe what I might do is just put a penny to match this right here.
Yeah.
And same over here.
I think you have a lot of projects going.
I do, and that's a good thing. So to finish this, what I'm doing is, when I get down here, I'm going to hold on and pull my needle out. And then I'm going to snip it. And
Oh, that's a little scary.
it is scary.
Pull it down. Okay, so
Pull it down.
how long do you think it'll take you to do this?
Oh, 6 years.
Someone said does the numbers show through on the other side. That's true. You could reconvert it.
I could flip it up and trace it on the back. You're right.
Yeah.
Just remember right here, we're going to secure those down with a bead of glue, and we're going to make sure that these are all down because we don't want these stitches to pull out.
Someone wants to know what is a mounting board.
It's a board that you mount things on. I don't know any other way to say that. They have, if you go into Michael's, they have mounting boards. They say not to use the ones with the glue on them because they're not good for fabric. But they would secure it somehow. I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
Just what we're going to do is, and we're going to be able to iron this if we want to, especially once we get these secured. We'll just go over it lightly with an iron.
Someone asked, and I had thought of this. Lisa asked this. Camille, can you iron on a fusible?
Yes.
something To it
Yes.
instead of
And
glue?
well, what your dog's right behind you. I
Of course she
could
is.
do this entire section right here first with my petals and then cut out a circle of fusible web and then put that down
Yeah.
to secure all my stitches.
Yeah.
That would also make it so that as I'm moving this along on my frame, those loops aren't going to be pulled out. So
Yeah.
that's another idea too.
Yeah.
And then as I could do this whole section, move it onto my larger frame and do this whole section and then do that. And then work by section on the leaves or the
Yeah.
scrolls.
And here's the thing. How do I want to say it? Sometimes we try some things and they work really awesome, and sometimes we try some things and they don't work at all.
I lost my ball.
I was going to say, should I take you off camera?
Maybe. I don't know where it went. Oh, it's down here.
Okay.
I've lost a little weight and my
Okay.
bra's too big.
Okay. Now we're going on a
That's a
different,
good thing.
Different story.
My ball's going to fall out the bottom of my shirt. So yeah, the basic gist is don't be afraid to try anything. I mean, look at this. I thought,
Did you hear that noise, people? That's
no,
Julie's.
it went away.
Okay.
Someone was calling. I thought, what can I do with this? I don't want to punch it. I want to try that stitching, and I just think that is so beautiful. It gives me that crewel embroidery look that I love.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make this work.
Okay.
If you want to give this a try, get yourself some weaver's cloth, draw yourself some sort of motif,
Yep.
and give this a try. Remember, a single strand. You don't want any tension going through your needle or your loops won't stay in that fabric. Your stitches won't stay in.